And welcome to another edition of XFeed. What's up? My name's The Schiller. Monday through Friday, random parts of the day. Usually try in the afternoon, though, at least Eastern time, to come on here and talk about the crypto and NFT space because it's fun and it's exciting. And you can see every single day the ebbs and flows of this, not just on the timeline, but actually the reactions and how people are perceiving them directly from the stream. And one of the great things with that is we can remember, hey, a few days ago, we're like, damn, this stuff brought us back together. It's amazing. All of a sudden, it seems like everybody has all like this borrowed conviction around this potential revolution within the technology that we engage with every single day. So if you're not familiar with anything that I'm talking about to begin with, we're going to try to do a little bit of a step back in time where we will go through and explain what's happening and recap the past couple of days. As you saw this morning, they had the XCopy PainStrategy launch. Seemed to go relatively well, but very, very different from what happened with Goblin Town the other day. So what we're talking about is NFTStrategy. This is something that was made by TokenWorks, and the concept with this is that it is a network ecosystem token, more specifically, that is forever trying to accumulate CryptoPunks. There's only 10,000 CryptoPunks in the world. On a long-term enough horizon, a lot of people think, hey, you know what? They could end up becoming like a real asset class, sort of as they are in NFTs, generally seem to have fallen within that regard. And with that, there is a 10% tax that is used when you're buying and selling this token that is put into a pool that accumulates these CryptoPunks. They are then listed for a bit higher. Whenever somebody buys that higher listed CryptoPunk, it would then take that amount of dollars to buy back the PunkStrategy token and then burn it. So it's got a deflationary mechanism with it. So this has been all the rage. And I mean, literally for a month straight, this is almost anything anybody's talking about, but maybe not really an entire month. Maybe I would say the past 2-ish weeks, maybe a bit longer. Because it came out, there was a couple of issues with things, and people were like, I don't know. And then all of a sudden, it became mega viral to the point that is, like, I don't think I could actually do a show right now based off of normal news in the NFT-specific area. Everybody's just holding off on everything. And the founder of TokenWorks was on ThreadGuy's stream the other day talking about the fact that everybody's knocking on their door, wanting to have a strategy. So we have all founders that are like, this is great, we love this idea. And then we have the community that's also buying for it, win-win, and then all of a sudden, boom, today, it seems that everybody's just having a lot of concerns with things. So let's try to look at a couple of these. As you can see, this is the PunkStrategy one. It shows that that's how much the wallet based off of fees is having, and then that's what the cheapest CryptoPunk is. So when that number reaches this, then it would in turn go and buy this one and list it higher. These are all the ones that it's happened for already, and there is 28 of them for 1,351 ETH. So there's a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk of, oh, this is going to die. This is going to die. Now, the point the other day while this was going up that everybody brought up was saying, but there's too much of a difference. The underlying value of the basket of CryptoPunks does not make sense and doesn't equal to what the market cap of the token is. And obviously, there was speculation on that token, so clearly it went much, much higher. Peckham, what's going on? How we doing? With it going higher, we now see where when it goes downwards, people are like, oh my goodness, wow, hold on, the market cap of the token's going down, what's going on? But then that number, the people are saying, okay, well, the underlying basket of assets, well, that gets closer and closer to being kind of on par. So I don't think in any sense of the name that this is completely dead. And why are we bringing this up when normally I don't talk specifically in length about one particular thing? I have been hit up like literally more in my entire lifetime over anything I've done in Web3 in like the past 48 hours. 48 hours. I have been hit up like mad. Do you know how many people are paying attention to what is going on here? Anybody that's left in the NFT space. Everybody. And that's one of the reasons I was like, man, this is a way that like people are coming together and getting excited about this. But again, is it borrowed conviction? So when we're talking about this, you can see that there's actually been 2 CryptoPunks that have been bought and sold. And so these are all the different ones, which I keep thinking at some point there's somebody that could end up like using one of those leverage platforms to move those CryptoPunks if they wanted, right? There's people that are making super big bets on this ecosystem. But let's talk about some of the other ones now, because what has transpired is that not only is the component of buying CryptoPunks, listing them higher and then burning its own token, it has now taken that model that's used to buy CryptoPunks and now doing that for every different, a subset of other NFTs, where Chromie Squiggles from Art Blocks, one of the generated pieces, Moonbirds, Goblin Towns, DeFlationary, ToadStrategy, ApeStrategy, Pudgy strategy. And when I say these strategies, again, it's for the underlying assets, the Pudgy Penguins, Bored Ape, Cryptoads, Meebits. All these ones are a part of it, and then a percent of that fees from all those other tokens goes back to buying and burning the PunkStrategy token. So in a way, this is going to give people the opportunity, if they want to come into the NFT space, what does it look like if you were going to try to onboard somebody as of right now? Truthfully, if I was going to say, where are you going to go to try to get somebody that you're like, hey, you know what? These communities are fun. I don't know if you have like a whole lot of plans, but it's kind of a cool thing to like keep your attention if you've not, maybe you're taking a lull from sports or music's not hitting the way that it wants and you're just wanting something different. And I think that this is everything that we do every day, right? It's a completely different world and it makes you think, and it's exciting while also being kind of holy crap at points. But now, instead of having to say, hey, you know what, you could come in and like buy one of these like more notable collections and you'd have to spend, like several $100s to have any sort of, collectible or thing within these ecosystems, you can have access through a token. And that's where I'm like, I don't understand why these new collections that come out that are NFTs specifically, or digital collectibles, why they would just like not try to support their own token variant that helps that, instead of going out and trying to build a blockchain or one of their own utility driven aspects for it. Because I feel that that's much, much harder. And again, the community is getting like pretty large with this. So again, let's continue with this, and we will look at what some of the different things that are building on this ecosystem already, right? And I'm going to be using the reference for like the root network, and anybody that's in Futureverse, you'll understand. But the problem with Futureverse, and if you don't know, they were like the main builders on the root network. They went into receivership. There's all these wild things that are going on. I've done a very in-depth live stream. If you scroll back on YouTube, actually it might take you a little bit, but we go through all of it. It was like a 2-hour banger, right? But with that, when the root network came out, this was a brand new network. And I want to kind of give that perspective on it, because I don't think anybody's really talking about it from that way, and we'll have a closed loop towards the end. But if you look at this sort of like a network and you want to say, all right, well, what's building on this network? What we saw for Root is there was a couple of people that launched NFT collections, a couple of people tried to do games, and it was like done in the background, but it wasn't really that much adoption, and it almost felt like sort of a waste of time, where there was all this effort put in, money, and it was kind of all for nothing, right? And so what's a simplistic way of doing that? Well, for this, because it's a part of DeFi, this is one of them. So Punk.auction, the perpetual Punk auction, a permissionless protocol that buys and auctions punks while burning the supply. Driving value through trading fees, Punk purchases, auctions, and token burns. So trading fuels the treasury. Buy and sell. Each trade contributes surplus to the treasury, funding future purchases. The treasury deploys accumulated surplus to purchase punks, and then the punks go to auction, but the auction of the punks is denominated in its own token to be able to do that. The winning pass is burned, recirculating supply and permanently raising the floor price. So this is something that's going out saying, all right, well, we see what PunkStrategy and TokenWorks is trying to do to elevate CryptoPunks. So how can we build something that would also elevate and help get CryptoPunks in that sense? And then another way, yo, Vanessa D, what's up? StrategyPunks here. It's the perpetual punk strategy machine, where this thing is going out and buying PunkStrategy tokens in different tranches, and once it reaches like a certain price, it goes and buys its own token, but all the fees off of its own token, again, are used to accumulate the PunkStrategy token. So we're already seeing, again, it's a month old, but people are trying to do these different experimentations around what's being launched for PunkStrategy. So the big shakeup of the day was that checks, if you can see on the top here, it's down 15% today. Wow. Why is it down 15%? Well, each of the early strategy token launches have already been announced, essentially. And so today, based off the schedule they gave a week ago, because these were supposed to drop last week, but they waited, they did an audit, they checked out some other stuff. Today was the assumption that checks was going to be it because Goblin Town was the one that it was supposed to be when it resumed, and it was. So just the general assumption was it was going to be this. An announcement hits the timeline saying that XCopy's PainStrategy for the Max Pain collection is going to be the strategy that launches today. And then you'll also note that this one, the floor price is down 36%. So the timeline is an absolute shambles right now because, number one, people thought the checks was going to catch a bid. Now they have to wait a little bit, and they're like, oh my goodness, are we going to want to go over trade over here? People that have bought Max Pain the other day to flip it, okay, they suddenly have a mass amount of exit liquidity, and then XCopy makes a post saying that the 1% fee that they get from the PainStrategy launch is going to go to a charity foundation, which is admirable and awesome. But again, in terms of speculation, people are like, oh my goodness, what if XCopy does some sort of burn where it's like 0.1 ETH and a max pain, and then it's a raffle, and then half of them are burned, and people are going to want to get this new piece? Or what if they do some other kind of crazy thing? Because there was threads and highlights of how the creator of TokenWorks was actually a mod in the XCopy Discord. Yo, Dogepound, what's going on? How we doing, Johnny? And it's like, it's kind of this, perpetual thing where I think the big concern with this right now is that people are over trading the hell out of all of it. They're thinking, oh, I'm going to flip these NFTs. They're thinking, oh, we're going to flip these certain strategies. And then it's all kind of settling down. People aren't sure. They're feeling bad about certain things. And for this Goblin strategy, and I know this is super confusing, this is only going to uberly make sense for anybody that's been paying attention to what's going on. Goblin strategy was one of the worst launches possible because each strategy, when it initially launches, it comes out at a 95% tax. Okay? So if you want to buy the token minute one, you are getting taxed 95% of your purchase. And so your break-even number is very, very different. And nobody understood how the hell that worked. There was just all this hoopla and excitement around token strategies and these NFT strategies. And so within 3 minutes, there was 160 ETH pulled up purely from fees, which would mean, 700 ETH was just thrown in to the Goblin token strategy? What? So, now, not that everybody necessarily got burned on that, because all of a sudden it went up to 7 mil market cap, which we're not even seeing XCopy anywhere near that, but it shows that the FOMO and people wanting to trade and be into all this stuff was exactly present, because same thing for the floor price of these Goblin Towns are down 42%. These were up to 0.3 or more. It went up to 0.4 right after the token launch because it bought so many of them. But I think the big reason why there's all this angst and whatnot is because people are speculating too hard on all of it, when it should just be looked at as a network and say, hey, you know what? If you're wanting to get maybe a little bit more liquid variation instead of holding an NFT, that's an opportunity to do so. So then we're seeing other people get in on the prediction markets for Punkster. So over on Myriad, which I believe is on Abstract, says, will PunkStrategy hit 400 mil during October? And right now, yes is at a very low percent, and no is at a very high percent, obviously for reasons of this. But everybody's paying attention to this. Have you not noticed? Everyone is reacting very, very, I wouldn't even say aggressively, but just present. They're saying, hey, I'm here. Hey, I'm watching this. You scroll the timeline. 90% of posts are about it. Bullish, bearish, nope. Fence sitting. It's all, and it's continued to stay all the raids. Yo, Jacob, what's going on? Yo, Wild Buff. He's a Buffalo Soldier. Ba-na-na-na-na-na. How we doing? And sorry, for anybody joining a little bit late, again, we're going through everything. Maybe rewind to the beginning and then catch up. And so this is like in terms of perspective within history. There was a very notable person that said, "Oh my goodness, this is gonna die," when it first came out. And I'm on record here. You can see me when the ape strategy launch happened. I was fudding it. I was like, this is stupid. And then I sat down and I was like, you know what? This is kind of interesting. I'm seeing too many people from different corners of the space talking about this. Let me try to do like a lick of due diligence. And I'm like, oh, like this, if people look at this as a certain way to be able to trade their favorite communities, holy crap. Because all these things are ideas, right? Like, why is Pump.Fun a big thing? Why is NBA Top Shot a big thing? Why is Disney Pinnacle a big thing? Well, there was different concepts that ended up getting iterated, whether you need the bigger brand, whether you just need the right people to help take it off the ground. But then it happens. I'd love for Dogebound to get one right now, but not sure how this all pans out. I agree, and I think that they made an announcement saying that they were going to do auctions for it. And to me, Seed Phrase made a comment, and if you follow me on X, like I replied to him because he was like, I don't like how these strategies are working right now. And then I was like, did you not see like the founder guy just made like an announcement saying that they were going to go into an auction style, that all of it's going to be like used to help buy and burn PunkStrategy. But like you really need the NFT speculation to like chill for a minute. Because it's just, there's too many people that are trying to instantly flip things when it's like these things are supposed to work in tandem, not necessarily against each other. And the perception right now is that it's against each other. And so back to this point for a second, though, is a couple days ago, there's a big notable person that said like when it was really, really dead, when it was like 20 mil market cap, whatever, very, very tiny, that it wasn't going to last. And then obviously it went up to about 142. It subsequently went up to just under 300. And right now I think that it's bounced back to about 120. So in like 5 days, we're basically sort of like where we were. But everybody's screaming like it's absolutely Jover. And I'm confused by that. What happens now with someone like the Goblin one that holds 600 plus and are all underwater? Does it just keep buying forever? I assume even if it goes down. Yeah, exactly. And that's why my thought was that there was going to be this equilibrium at the moment of these strategies happening where, generally speaking, it's gonna buy so many that like it doesn't really move that much. But the problem is you have all these people that are flipping, and so that completely takes out like any sort of organic component of it. Gotta buy the dip here for sure. Again, none of this is financial advice at all. I'm just trying to answer the question of people saying, yo, is this gonna die? And I've seen so many different comments that one of my favorite things about X is that like I love hearing what other people have to say. And that's why we do this, right? You guys get to share different opinions and whatnot. You go into the timeline, I can see where somebody says something super horrible and something super great and be like, all right, let me try to take those and like ChatGPT it in my mind and then spit it out how I perceive it. And this one stuck with me, and I don't think that it hit until like this morning when I was really thinking about it. So NFTStrategy is making more in 24-hour revenue than Pump.Fun, yet Pump.Fun is valued 35 times more expensive than PunkStrategy. So again, we think of like the network, the platform, and Pump.Fun, the whole component of it is that like they're buying their token back. They've made the announcement that they're doing token buybacks, which is exactly the same of what's going on with the PunkStrategy, right? But it's automatic where it's not them going down, every 2 weeks saying, hey, we're going to buy it, making a tweet and then buying it. This is like automated from minute one with the whole community involved with it. The market still does not understand that what Rhinotic has created is no different than any other revenue meta darling like Pump.Fun and Hyperliquid. Okay, and then they give financial advice. Listen, we're not going to do that. But in terms of this, just to see, so you can... again, 24-hour revenue within TokenWorks and they're labeling it as a chain, right? And that's when it's like, oh, you know what? I need to look at this different than how I've been viewing it. This is just a basket of a token that is underlying or has underlying a basket of CryptoPunks. All right, well, that's a component of it, but it also has all of these other feedback components to it, and there's a lot that can be built on top of it. And so Pump.Fun, when you look at it really quick, right? Market caps of 3 mil, 1.9, 4.8, 1.3. What the hell is Regret? What's Pump.Fun Pepe? What the hell is this Roy? Pumpcade, I don't know what like half of the stuff is, right? But it's got those sort of valuations. And when you have everybody within the markets that's into this, that has established community. Think of every meme coin that gets launched every day. You have the bots that go out, buy, $5-10 of whatever token. Maybe something takes flight for like a day. You'll have your like random runners and whatnot. But this is different because these are backed by communities. And sure, you're going to have these people that are like flipping in and out of them. But I think, again, this is a broader context, potentially much more meaningful. And how fast does the script flip if I'm right? And on Thursday, when they launch the Larva Labs Quine, what is it? Generated, I don't even know if it's generated already. I guess it's generated art. When they do that on the auction of 0.25 and they launch it alongside a strategy, that's my assumption because they've highlighted it before and the timing would work out roughly right. Could be completely wrong, but does the narrative again completely flip if Larva Labs is like, hey, we endorse this? Because we went from founders not endorsing TokenWorks at all to the Meebits founder being like, oh, this is actually brilliant because it really helps out like my collection here. And all these other ones now thinking about, okay, well, what are we going to do? How are we going to help out for it? The Goblin Town guy, he went on a complete rampage after all of that. And I don't mean like rampage in a bad way necessarily. And because Johnny Lemon's here, I want to bring this up. But AJT from Goblin Town, they said that there's, I don't know who needs to hear this. It's always how it starts. 2 seconds. Let me find it. Okay. I'm going to say something out loud that everyone dances around and no one wants to admit about this space. Long-term profile pictures in general are useless unless you get supply down substantially and then they become collectibles and scarce. I'm talking 500 to 1,000 NFTs per collection, and even then, that might be too high. So there's your flaming hot take of the day. And obviously they're going out there and wanting to burn goblins alongside of this. And each strategy launch seemingly has something particular with them, except XCopy we haven't seen, whatever. But maybe they're like, hold on, we'll let everybody do the trading and then go from there. Because also for Max Payne, there's like a 0% royalty on OpenSea and Nifty Gateway for those ones. I saw the Punk auction one as well. If you saw that, yeah. I brought that up at the beginning of the stream. And so that's all I got for the conversation as of right now. I wanted to kind of pitch that idea because, again, we've seen a lot of complaints, concerns about this stuff. I'm following along with this. Obviously, you never know what's going to happen with kind of like a new network chain app, whatever it may be. But I'm very intrigued by it. Did I hear correctly? CBD of altcoins and NFTs. This worked very well in 2007. Sun Prime, cough, cough. One thing that I have seen, to your point, is that there's like a graph and it says like DeFi, crypto, NFTs, and then it's got like the punk strategy in the middle where it kind of connects all of them. And I feel like I kind of agree with that. I don't know if there's many other things that touch like each aspect of it, unless you're like just flat out saying, like Ethereum or Solana or like one of like the main tokens that have a little bit of a component over all of it. But this makes it kind of fun, I think. So that's going to be it for me. Thank you guys so much for coming on through. Jacob, I hope you're doing well. And randomly saw B-Balls XYZ. I don't know how I even saw it, but I was curious what it is. Wait, isn't B-Balls like a... Jeez. I feel like that... I thought that was a collection over on Dapper with those NFTs. Oh, no. That's Ballers. You remember Ballers? See, they need a Ballers strategy. Imagine that branches off the flow. That would be crazy. But guys, thank you so much for coming on through. We'll be back tomorrow as per usual. And I hope you have a phenomenal rest of your day. Peace. I was the wrong screen. Son of a gun. Good.